Aurora short story, The First Jump. In the silence of space, where the only sound was the dull hum of life support systems and the occasional sigh of thermal plating adjusting to the cold, a singular mind worked tirelessly against the vast, indifferent dark. Dr. Ella Hausmann sat alone in Lab Module C of Novus Station, a modest research outpost suspended in orbit above Jupiter's roiling surface. Beyond the thick observation glass, the massive gas giant churned with storms that had raged for centuries, their amber and ochre hues swirling in hypnotic patterns. Sunlight crested the planet's edge, scattering through its upper atmosphere and casting radiant arcs across the hull. Ella barely noticed the view anymore. She had watched hundreds of sunrises over Jupiter, each one marking another failed experiment, another calculation that didn't quite add up, another moment when she felt the weight of her peers' skepticism. Her work on artificial wormholes, manipulating singularities to fold space itself, had been dismissed by most of the scientific community as theoretical fantasy. "Good math, no future," one journal had said. But she wasn't ready to give up. Not tonight. She exhaled slowly and typed the last command into the simulation interface, initiating transit test 414. The number made her wince. So many failures. Her fingers hovered above the console as the system initialized. On screen, the probe floated in its containment bay, its wormhole generator, the prototype Hausmann field core, glowing faintly with a lattice of blue energy. The minutes ticked by. Ella leaned back and let her eyes wander to the horizon. From this angle, she could see the sun starting to emerge behind Jupiter's bulk. The sunrise shimmered like a promise just out of reach. Then, beep. Not the usual error tone. A different pitch. A higher note, like a quiet bell. She snapped upright and looked at the display. Green, all green. Transit test 414. Complete. Wormhole connection established. Check. Probe transit confirmed. Check. Telemetry link active. Check. Structural integrity. Nominal. Check. Ella blinked, then leaned closer. "No way," she whispered. The probe had jumped. Not just theoretically. It had moved instantaneously across tens of millions of kilometers to its target. Outpost Nebulon, stationed near Mercury's orbit. No engines, no physical travel. The space between had simply folded. She stared for a moment, then let out a wild, unguarded laugh. It echoed off the sterile walls of the lab, filling the empty room with sudden life. It worked. It actually... She slapped the console, nearly knocking over her coffee mug. It bloody worked. Fumbling with the controls, she opened a comms channel to Nebulon. The system chirped once, then connected. "Ella?" came a voice before the screen had even resolved the image. Dr. Sanvi Rao, her closest collaborator and longtime friend, appeared grinning ear to ear. "I was just about to call you. I'm guessing you saw the same thing I did? I've got a telemetry stream that says one wormhole transited probe is sitting happily in our docking net, fully intact." Sanvi's voice was breathless. "Ella, this is real. This is real. We did it." The two scientists launched into a rapid-fire exchange, verifying data packets, cross-checking quantum telemetry signatures, running diagnostics on the probe's shielding and its miniature drive core. Every reading aligned. No anomalies, no degradation, no misfires. The jump had been clean, precise, and, most importantly, repeatable. There was only one thing left to do. "You ready to send it back?" Sanvi asked. Ella hesitated. Her fingers danced above the console again. "It feels almost sacred," she admitted, voice softer now. "Like returning fire to Prometheus." Sanvi smiled gently. "Then let's light up the dark." Coordinates locked. Singularity field primed. On her end, Sanvi pressed the execute command. Ella stood and walked to the wide observation pane, placing her hands on the cool glass. Outside, Jupiter rotated below like a slumbering god. And then, a shimmer in the void. Reality flexed like rippling water, and from that distortion the probe emerged, whole and gleaming, trailing tendrils of energy that faded as space reasserted itself. A second beep chimed from the console. Probe returned. Structural integrity, 100%. Drive core, stable. Transit lag, negligible. Ella sank into her chair, overwhelmed. For a moment she didn't speak. Then she smiled, wider than she ever had before. Sanvi? Yeah? I think we just changed the future. The next hours blurred into a flurry of encrypted transmissions, data backups, and emergency review boards. The project, previously considered fringe at best, now had hard proof. Real physics, real results. Within days, Earth Command dispatched a delegation. A week later, Ella found herself presenting to the International Science Assembly via HoloLink. For once, her audience wasn't skeptical. They were reverent, silent, watching a single, repeated loop, the probe vanishing in one system and appearing in another. Transit time, 2.8 seconds. Across nearly 800 million kilometers. The headlines came fast. Jump technology confirmed. Humanity takes first step beyond the stars. The Hausmann era begins. Ella was showered in awards. Invited to speak in every language. Her name became synonymous with the impossible. But through it all, she remained focused. Fame didn't matter. What mattered was what came next. 9 months later, in a new construction facility in lunar orbit, the first Pathfinder-class vessel was christened. Sleek, modular, and housing the first scaled-up version of the Hausmann Drive, the Vanguard Horizon was built not for war, but for exploration. To seek out uncharted systems and map the stars in a way probes never could. Ella stood on the bridge beside Captain Lena Vega, a grizzled explorer who had flown gravity slingers around Europa before most people even believed in jump drives. The crew buzzed with nervous energy as they ran last-minute checks. Final confirmation, came the voice of the navigation officer. Alpha Centauri beacon acquired. Coordinates locked. Jump course stabilized. Ella looked at Vega, who gave a small nod. This is your moment, Doctor. The countdown began. 10 seconds. Ella found her hand trembling slightly. Not with fear, with awe. 5 seconds. She thought of the first probe. Of all 413 failures. 3. She thought of her long nights alone on Novus, watching Jupiter's storms and refusing to give up. 2. She whispered. Good math. Better future. 1. Space tour, folded. And in a blink, Vanguard Horizon was gone. A moment later, a data burst screamed back through space. They had arrived. Humanity had jumped. And the stars had never felt closer.